.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Following widespread international criticism, Israel's agreed to allow some food, medicine, and fuel into the besieged Gaza Strip that depends on Israel for fuel and electricity. The move comes after 3 days of airstrikes last week that killed 30 Palestinians and 4 days of total closure and almost no electricity. Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri said the temporary erasing of restrictions is not a long-term solution.
The Israeli announcement of supplying Gaza with more fuel does not mean solving the crisis in Gaza. The real crisis of our Palestinian people is the continuation of siege on the Gaza Strip.
Israeli officials agreed to temporarily lift the blockade after protests around the world and censure from the European Union. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert addressed his party on Monday and denied exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
We will not allow a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, but we have no intention of making their lives easy. As long as these hardships are greater, providing there are no humanitarian blows, not in hospitals, not in clinics, not with young children, not with helpless people, we will not allow it. But in no way will we let them live comfortable and pleasant lives. As far as I'm concerned, all the residents of Gaza can go on foot and have no fuel for cars because they have a murderous terrorist regime that doesn't allow people in the south of Israel to live in peace.
In the midst of this deepening crisis, I spoke to an Israeli and Palestinian peace activist, Yonatan Shapira and Bassam Aramin. They are from a group called Combatants for Peace that's made up of former fighters from both Israel and Palestine. Bassam Aramin spent 7 years in Israeli prison, was an armed member of Fatah, the Palestinian political faction once led by Yasser Arafat. Bassam's 10-year-old daughter, Abir, died 1 year ago after being shot by Israeli soldiers while she was on her way home from school. Yonatan Shapira is a captain in the Israeli Air Force and Black Hawk pilot squadron. Well, he was. In 2003, he authored the pilot's letter, refusing to participate in attacks against Palestinians. I spoke to the two former fighters on Thursday about their efforts for peace and their thoughts on attacks in Gaza. I started by asking Yonatan Shapira how he went from being a pilot in the Israeli military to a peace activist.
I was a captain in the Israeli Air Force and flew Black Hawk, which is a mostly rescue helicopter in the Israeli Air Force. And after a long, long process of becoming aware of the world I live in and mostly the occupation and the war crimes that my government and my army is part of, I decided to refuse to be part of this circle of revenge. The reason for that were many, I think especially the assassinations that started to happen during the Sharon government. Especially one assassination that caused the loss of many innocents, 15 innocent, including 9 children and babies. That led me and many of my friends.
What was your involvement in that?
Oh, I was not involved in any shooting directly on anyone because I flew rescue missions and I landed commando forces. But I felt that it doesn't matter if you shoot yourself or you land soldiers that are shooting someone or your friend in the other squadron is dropping bombs on innocents. Once you are part of it, once you're part of a society even, once you're part of the world, you have responsibility, especially if you're part of an air force that is being sent on a daily basis to kill. And most of the people who died are innocent, just like happened in the last days. And I found other people in the Air Force that agree with me and were willing to sign the letter that I authored, saying that we are no longer willing to follow illegal and immoral orders. That was called the pilot letter. We published it in September 2003.
And how unusual was that letter?
We were not the first Israeli refusers. We were not the first Israelis to say we are not going to be part of these war crimes anymore. But it's the first time that pilot organized and did something like that. And in Israel, which, as you know, it's a very militaristic society, when the pilots are saying something like that, it broke a lot of... people were pissed off. People saw it as a rebellion. That was more than 4 years ago. Later on, we decided that it's important to refuse But just refusing to be part of something illegal and immoral and just refusing to be part of war crimes, it's not enough. You have to try to fix the wrongdoing that you were part of. And then with many other people who refused to military service and to be part of the occupation in the Israeli side, and Palestinian ex-fighters in the Palestinian side, people who were many years in Israeli prisons. We formed this group, which we call the Combatants for Peace. In Arabic, it's Muqatalun min Ajal Salam, and in Hebrew, Lochamim LaShalom. I know the name is a bit militaristic itself, but the idea is that we are going to have a joint struggle this time, and in a way, the Israelis who woke up, the ex-fighters, are joining the Palestinian non-violent struggle for liberation. And this is something that didn't happen before. We have a lot of organizations of Israelis and Palestinians that are struggling together against occupation, but not as former fighters.
Bassam, Aramin, talk about how you came to Combatants for Peace. You were in Israeli prison for 7 years. Talk about your family and how it has dealt with the occupation, your daughter.
Actually, I arrested in 1985 for 7 years in the Israeli jails.
As a Fatah fighter?
As a Fatah member, yeah.
How old were you?
I was 17 years.
Where did you live?
In Hebron, Sa'ir village, with a group of 6 children. Then after the jail, briefly, we start to think that we are more than 60 years fighting each other, and no result. Israel is not safe, and Palestine is not free. And the majority from both sides know that the final solution could be 2 states. And the big question is why we are dying now. If we know the solution even, we must be very courageous when we take our weapons, to be courageous also and to speak loudly what we believe. We know that this conflict cannot be solved in a military solution. It means we must find another way to fight against the occupation. We will never accept the occupation in any way. The Israelis must be responsible for their occupation. From this point came the idea of Combatants for Peace. We established this organization in 2005 by 4 Palestinians and 7 Israelis. Now we are around 400 ex-combatants from both sides. Personally, I pay the price before 1 year exactly, the 16th of January. Abir, on this day, it must be alive. One Israeli soldier shot and killed her in Yonatan, her school, in front of her school.
What is your daughter's name?
She was 10 years old, Abir.
Abir.
Abir means the smell of the flower. Abir, she wasn't a fighter. She don't belong to Fatah or to Hamas. She just a child. And all the time it's our message that in Combatants for Peace we want to protect our children.
And what happened?
It was a normal day when Israeli soldier came, Israeli patrol, and shot her from a distance of 15 meters in her head without any demonstrations. It's a quiet day, and they look at her when she fell down and still going without any help or.
Was it in the morning or the afternoon?
Yeah, it's in the morning, in 9:30, after she finished her examination with her sister and 2 friends, after she bought a candy. Yeah, it's very simple.
Where were you at the time?
I was on my way to work in Ramallah, and her school told me that Abir fell down. They want her mom. They don't tell me that someone shot her. And when I asked call home back to tell her mom to go to the school, I found her sister Aramin crying and shouting, and her friend also told me that Abir was shot in her head by an Israeli soldier. It was a shock. And when I called back the school, they told me that they bring her to the Palestinian hospital in East Jerusalem. She spent 2 days in an Israeli. I bring her to Hadassah hospital in Israel. After 2 days, she died.